everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here already with part 2 of the Simon Says July 2018 card kit. So you can see the stamp set, all the beautiful pattern paper, the card stock, and of course an abundance of stickers that you could use throughout your cards as well. I'm not so much a sticker person, but these were very different. So let's get started with card 6. I just wanted to play around with the pattern paper. So I grabbed 2 and I used my Favorite Things wonky stitch rectangle and cut both of the panels out so that they would be the same size. Excuse me. I then took my shears and I just went along the one with the beachwear, one of the clotheslines. So I have that different curve, but a curve nonetheless. I'm going to prop that piece up with some double-sided foam tape. And then I'm going to adhere that down onto where all of the flip-flops and the flippers on that piece of cardstock. So really, I'm just using 2 pieces of the pattern paper to create a design. I used one of the sentiments that came with the pattern paper, and of course I had to use Beach Please because who doesn't want to be on the beach? I adhered that down onto a piece of yellow cardstock from my stash, and then I'm going to adhere that and I'm going to tuck it up right underneath the top pattern paper panel that I have. I'm going to use my tape runner to adhere this to my 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 top folding card base. And of course, if you look really closely, did not watch where I cut my pattern paper with the die. I kept the hole in the pattern paper. Yeah, awesome. But you know what? You really can't tell. I bet you all couldn't see that unless I pointed it out. I saw it immediately and I refused to give up. I used my glossy accents over the sentiment and let that dry. So for card number 7, I was kind of going in the same theme with the pattern paper because this pattern paper really is fun. I'm using one of the Simon Says curved border dies, scalloped, and I cut each of the panels first with the My Favorite Things wonky stitch rectangle and then each one with that scalloped border die. Now I just made sure that there was a difference in the height. I'm going to take the one with all of the pulls and I'm going to prop that up using some double-sided foam tape. As you can see me fighting with it because that's what I do. And I'm going to set that up so it almost looks like a wave or maybe an edge of the pool on top of the paper. I used one of the sentiments again, one of the sentiment blocks, and this one say Pools Rule. And I propped that up onto the same scrap piece of yellow that I had. Wasn't quite sure with that, so I'm kind of setting that aside. I'm going to use my tape runner to adhere this down onto my 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 top folding card base. And it was right about here I decided, yeah, I didn't like the yellow. So I'm going to cut that off. I'm not going to tear it off. I'm just going to trim right up to the edge of my rectangle there. No one's going to see it, and if you do, it's just a hint of color, which I think is great. I grabbed my vintage photo ink, and I just went around the edges of that, just to let that stand out. That's the beauty of vintage photo. Even if you don't have any brown in there, pretty much vintage photo to me, okay, again, my opinion, vintage photo is an excellent accent, no matter what colors you're using. Okay, so just by putting that around, it gave it a really nice border and helps it to stand out, along with the double-sided foam squares that I used to prop that up. I'm pulling out my aqua shimmer pen, the glitter, and I'm just going over the word pools, and then I'm going to color in the pool in the background, just to give it a little bit of shimmer. Now, you could stop right here, but for some reason, I just thought something was missing. So I grabbed one of my Nuvo glitter accents. It actually came in one of my Tonic Studio kits. And this is Atlantis. And I'm like, what's great about these, they're like Nuvo drops, but not. These are very textured. This is a lot of glitter. This is more glitter than their glitter drops. And they keep their shape. So however you form them, they will hold that shape. You can do dots, as I'm doing here, just like you do with your glitter drops. But again, it is a more intense version of a glitter drop, which, you know, is awesome. Don't have glitter all over the place, and I got a lot of glitter going on here. So you could actually put this down and spread it if you wanted to. I just chose to draw like a little tiny water spout. I drew it down first with pencil just to give me a guide, and now I'm just coming in with one of my craft picks and just cleaning up the edges, and it cleans up very well just to straighten them out. But I thought that added a nice touch up in the corner. For card number 8, I pulled out my polychromos because I haven't shown them any love recently, and I really wanted to. Pulled out a couple of my Gina K inks. The one is her new black, which I cannot pronounce, and the key lime, which is one of her new colors. So I'm using the cactus stamp, and I'm going to create my own background. So I'm just going to stamp this in all directions all over that panel. Now I will be die cutting this down with one of my Lawn Fawn stitch rectangle dies, but I just want to go all over, get a sense of that. And it's a real pretty, it's a nice pale green, her key lime. So it really dries very nicely. So that's her black amalgam. I can't pronounce it. I'll make you all laugh. So I'm going to stamp this cactus in that, because again, I'm going to use my polychromos to color this in. Now, of course, I'm not getting good stamps, so that's okay. We're just going to stamp it a bunch of times. I chose the center one, and you can see the 3 colors that I've chose. A very dark green, a mid-tone green, and an extremely light green. Now, to save time, of course, I colored that off of the camera, and I did fussy cut that out. I'm now stamping the sunglasses that came with it, and I'm also fussy cutting those out as well, because my cactus just had to have a pair of sunglasses. I know, pineapple, but I liked them for the cactus. So I'm positioning my Lawn Fawn stitch rectangle die just to get a sense, okay, this is where this is going to sit. Here's my sentiment. That's where that's going. So I die cut that out, and I'm going to use my stamp positioner so that I can make sure that I get a really good impression. So I'm going to set that in place, and I'm going to use the Gina K black again. I am really liking the way that stamps. You can see I'm thinking about the color. I was going to go with the green, and I went with the black. But I am really liking her black ink. It works really well. It gets great coverage, and it dries quickly. So, very pleased with it so far. So, maybe since I didn't use watercolors on this, and I don't want to add water to this, you can use your colored pencils. Now, again, I have my polychromos out. It can be any colored pencil you have, whether it's Crayola up to these. But you can actually create a shadow around your sentiment just by using your colored pencils. Now, I wanted to show this part because I'm using the 2 colors. So, of course, I'm using the darkest, closest to the sentiment, and then I'm coming out with the lighter color as well. It'll actually just give you, it's like a glow around your sentiment. So if you're looking for something like that, you can get that achieved by your colored pencils. So it was just something that I played with, because honestly, I didn't want to pull anything out. I was running out of room on my table. So I'm going to take my little cactus, and I'm going to prop him up with some foam squares, and we're going to set him in place. Once he is set in place, we're going to use my art glitter glue and set them right on top. So it looks like his little arms are holding it. So I thought that was really cute. I really did enjoy this stamp set. I think the images are really cute and very versatile. I used my darker colored pencil just to give some shadow down on the bottom so it doesn't look like he's floating. I'm going to use my tape runner again so that I can adhere it to my 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 top folding card base. Once that's in place, I'm going to grab my glitter pen. This time what was close to me was my Spectrum Noir. You can see I'm already flinging my card across my table like I always do. Something always drops or gets thrown. It's just something that I'm doing there. And just to add some shimmer to those two areas. So for card number 9, I pulled out Carved Pumpkin, Mustard Seed, yes, I got the new colors, and Squeezed Lemonade for my Distress Oxides. I'm using my Sunshine or Sunray stencil from My Favorite Things. You can tell I was excited over the mustard seed. I love these inks. They are my favorite. So I taped it down, made sure my cardstock was attached to the stencil, and I'm using my mini blender to put down a layer of the squeezed lemon first. So as I'm dragging that, I want it to get lighter. I don't want the color to be solid coming out. So I'm literally starting from the second, or the center, sorry, and I'm dragging out. I'm then going to grab my finger daubers. And I'm going to use the mustard seed next. So I want to be close to that edge, but I want to come out a little bit. So probably about an inch or two. I'm coming out with that color. And for this one, I'm pouncing, and I am, spreading it along, again, from the center. I'm going to do the same thing with the Carved Pumpkin, but I'm going to stay closer to the center than what I did with the mustard seed. So I'm going to get this gradient because I'm going to go back over with the Squeezed Lemonade, which is just going to blend those colors right out. And you'll see when I pull this off, I just got a really sharp looking gradient coming from, again, the center. I'm going to use the mustard seed and the Carved Pumpkin and the solid circle stamp that comes with the set. And with the Carved Pumpkin, I'm going to go around the edge after I have my mustard seed on, and I'm going to stamp that down in the center. I pulled, of course, My Favorite Things Wonky Stitch Rectangle, and of course I'm going to use the sentiment, You Bring the Sunshine. Now here's something that I thought was really cool. So I have it positioned in my positioner, in my stamp positioner. I'm going to use the Gina K ink. But when you stamp on top of oxides, now all of you probably knew this. I did not. Maybe it's just this ink. I don't know. I got to test it with other inks. But you can actually see the ray coming through, the rays of the sun coming through the sentiment. So it's really cool. When I stamped the sun face on the circle, that black went gray where the outer rays of that are the black. So it actually lightens it up, but I should have done a good close-up. At the end, when you do the close-ups, you'll actually see it when it comes to the sentiment. It's almost like the oxide pushed away her black ink. I love the effect. I think it's neat because it looks like the rays are coming through the sentiment. I did prop this panel up with some fun foam, and I did use my double-sided extra duper strong double-sided tape, and I get that from uline.com. Used all kinds of sequins because we had to have a lot of sparkle on that, and that was card number 9. So for card number 10, I wanted to play with some stickers. I only did, maybe a couple cards with it. So I chose the sentiment, You've Got Style, and I loved these butterflies. and I love them all. So I'm taking this piece of cardstock. It's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. That's what it's cut to. And I'm just going to place these stickers all over the place. I'm going to start with my largest, get those set where I want them. I'm going to have them go off the edge. And then I'll fill in with the medium, and then I'll fill in with the small ones. What was beautiful, or what I thought was beautiful with these stickers, is the gold accents that were throughout them. Plus, they were clear. That was the other nice thing. So it didn't matter what cardstock you put them on, you would still see the sticker. Now it does have an edge, but that's okay. So you can see I've almost got this filled, and I have a few left. But once I know that I'm done, I'm going to push down those edges, because I was going to cover the whole top of my 5 1/4 by 5 1/2 top folding card base. I changed my mind. I grabbed my Lawn Fawn scalloped die, and I just made it a little bit smaller than what my card base is. I'm going to prop this up using my double-sided foam tape. And then I'm just going to make sure that's set in the center. And I think the scallop just adds a nice touch to it. And I went right through the stickers, no problem, through my machine. So I hope you enjoyed these cards for part 2 of the Simon Says July 2018 card kit. I got it in just before the end of July. I'm getting there, guys. But if you did enjoy this video, please hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. We'll have a good time here. Let me know what you'd like to see. If you have any questions or comments, leave those down below. I will get back to you as soon as I can. I do try to answer all of my comments when it comes to my YouTube channel. Sometimes other things are missed, but please know that I will try to get back to you. All the products that I used outside of this video will be linked down below. But for those of you that have been here for a while, you know there's always something that I forget. Just let me know, and I will make sure you get that link just in case I do forget something. I hope everyone's having a great day, a great week. I hope you had a great weekend. But remember what's most important to me. Always, always be creative.